Okay, well, hi everyone, and thank you very much for watching or listening. Today I have a very, very special guest, and I'm properly excited for this one. Been looking forward to this one for a long time. Dean Smudger Smith, legendary professional bare knuckle boxer who has fought some of the very best names in BKB. There's a long list of them, challenged for the British title. Also, he has a very, very inspirational backstory, having served in the military, having overcome quite a few hardships. He's also known for charity work and quite a few inspirational aspects around his local community. And today we're going to be having a chat about this man's life, his career, his mentality to win, things he's overcome. A truly inspirational story, guys. There's fights, there's blood and broken bones and all the good stuff, but there's a lot more than that as well, because this story, I think, carries an important social message as well. So that's the intro for the fans. But Champ, I just want to say, obviously, a big thank you for coming on. And obviously, appreciate you making the time, by the way, just to put that in there.
My pleasure, brother. My pleasure.
Brilliant. So let's start with, I think we'll start with the present day, and then we can go back in time a little bit to obviously some of your fights and some amazing things that have happened in your life for the ups and downs. But just touching on the present day, I mean, obviously, we've been in a pandemic. It's affected everyone's training. We've had to do a lot of things differently and everything like that. So can you just walk us through any aspects of your life that you'd like to share, that you feel comfortable sharing right now in 2021, and how things are going with your training and just life in general, please?
Yeah, so my 2021 started off quite hectic, scary, fearful, and a lot of negatives. Really, I was watching Trump lose the elections, and me knowing about countries and countries' power within this domain that we live in, that America fall into such demonic people like Biden. That was like the straw on the camel's back for me. It pushed me over the edge, because all I could think, how am I going to raise my son in an environment that's quite toxic? I mean, it's toxic as it is now, and I know it's going to get more toxic, and since then it has. So the last 10 months has been a massive turnaround for a lot of people. A lot more people are waking up to the madness of the world, and starting to see that we're actually very, very enslaved as a race. And that was my turning point, really. So for 2021, I went from being just somebody that wanted to fight physically on TV, or well, anywhere really, as long as I was doing it and enjoying it, to someone that wanted to open people's minds, hearts, and eyes to what's really happening. So 2021's been a transformational year for me. It's been a year of discovery, self-discovery, really. And self-discovery to me is a road to unlimited knowledge, to being able to discover not just about yourself, but about the environment you live in. So yeah, 2021 right now where I am is all about helping people with the mental health, with the physical health through food and water, and grounding and other things that you can do to change your mindset, and also the spiritual side of things, because I now see how we've been lied to our whole lives, really. Not just me, not just you, but the entire population of the world has been lied to, and therefore that's put me on a different path. So yeah, it's been quite a year.
Sounds like it has indeed, and this is something I'm very excited to get into today. Is some of the deeper side of things, and I will definitely come back to that, because it's definitely something to talk about for the fans and these broader awarenesses, because I get where you're coming from. Before we get into all that, though, because I will come back, I want to touch upon a couple of other things from your life, because as well as the bare knuckle boxing itself, which we'll get to in a minute, obviously that's sort of one chapter of your life, and it's perhaps the chapter that you're most well known for. But your life wasn't always, this success that it is now, in terms of being a legendary fighter, being recognized around your community, being a star on TV, and all these things that we will talk about. So I want to go back in time a little bit to sort of touch on some of the things that you overcame real quick, and then we'll get to the fights. Now, one of them is obviously military service, which we'll get to now, but I believe before that you were actually behind bars for a little while. Now, the reason I touch on this is not to dwell on a negative, by the way, Champ, just to make that clear. It's actually very much to show how you've turned it around, because if there's people out there who are in that situation, they've been in that situation, maybe they're in it right now, they just come out of it, whatever, they don't really see hope for a future. I know a lot of guys like that. Obviously, for yourself, it's, it shows there's hope for a future. if you get where I'm coming from with
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
We've jumped in the deep end. So is there anything we'd like to share, not so much about the specifics of what happened, but how you overcame that time in your life and how you turned it around? If
Uh,
let's talk about that.
yeah, I would say there was a lot of different turning points on the being a prisoner, criminal, being a victim also of situation and circumstance. I would say
Mhm.
that it definitely made me a different man. It definitely made me a stronger man. It also taught me a lot about um, the mechanics of life. Just how we get thrown up on the scrap heap so easily. Where there's certain people getting sentences and large sentences for protecting themselves. There's people getting large sentences for just making sure they've got food on the plate, not just for themselves but for the families. It
Yeah.
showed me how corrupt the system was, and not just not not for us but against us. The system is very corrupt against us. It's never there to help the person that's the victim. It's always there to help the person that's committing the crime. Um, if it's a crime that they want to push forward, like paedophilia. I see a lot of paedophiles in there getting protected, whereas people go in there that have never been in jail before in their lives or been sent down for something pretty small or
Mm.
quite mundane. They get thrown in the deep end, and they get thrown in the deep end, and it's hard to swim when you get thrown in the deep end when you're in jail. So I just see how people keep going back because they become accustomed to being in jail as well. So I was in jail for just over 3 years. My time in there, I started to realise that the same faces coming back, and that they don't get given much of a chance. And once they get out, because they've got this mark over their name, they've got this black mark against their name. It's hard to get jobs, and when it's hard to get a job, well, all you can do is turn to illegal stuff again because, well, you've got to earn money, you got to earn a living, a crust, you got to have food on the plate. So backed up into a corner really. So when I got out of jail, I'd been done for GBH, not for anything to do with trust, no sort of trust crimes. So because of that, when I got out and I was searching for a job and I couldn't get a job, I started to realise that it didn't matter what I'd done in the past. I still have a black mark against my name, and it still put me in a position where I'd have to start looking down other avenues, illegal avenues, so that I could at least survive. So that's what I started to do. I started going down the bad roads, the illegal roads, because I've been taught, how to be a criminal whilst I was inside with other criminals. When you surround yourself with criminals, you become a criminal. If you surround yourself with millionaires, you become a millionaire. If you surround yourself with thick people, you just sit there talking about thick shit. So I become a criminal. I'd learned that how to be a bit more sly, schemy, how to be a bit more underhand, and not because I was a hateful person or an angry person or an horrible person, just because I knew that to survive, I had to put my foot in the dirt a little. And after a while, a lot of criminals put the foot in the dirt, and after a little while, they get used to it. They get used to the things that come from doing illegal stuff, and then they stick their other foot in and they do even more. They get deeper and deeper, and that's what creates this paradigm that we live in, the criminal system.
Mm.
And these, they are just like drugs. Drugs are brought over by the government. I mean, they're brought over by the government. They're brought over just so they can put these sorts of criminal activities in our way, so it's easy for us to do it. So so we don't have to go looking so much for less illegal stuff. If the drugs are there on your plate, then people will sell them.
Mm.
And then these drugs that they get over here, they're the drugs that people that deteriorate people's lives, livelihoods, marriages, relationships with the parents and the children. So it's all there to create that divide. It's all there to create issues within our lives.
Mhm.
So yeah, I just these experiences I've had in my life have helped show me what's right, what's wrong, where the shit's coming from, and the people just keep eating it up and accepting that it's normal.
100%. Well, I mean, life is a learning experience. I agree with that 110%, and I love the fact that there's a deeper aspect because I know with yourself, champ, anything I ask you is there's going to be a deeper aspect to it. And that's brilliant for people's, awareness, watching this, listening to this, and so on. But it's also there's so many things there, and I agree with that so much that we have to be very careful what defines people and how we define ourselves, positively or negatively. I mean, there's so much in what you said for people to pick up on. Now, another thing just right quickly before we get to the bare knuckle itself, and I want to get to that, is obviously your military service was quite extensive as well. Big respect on that. You served in quite a few countries, to my knowledge, as well. And do you think that mentality really influenced your bare knuckle career in terms of the mental toughness as well as the physical toughness that it takes, or do you feel that you already sort of had that, previously to your military service, if that makes sense? Because obviously PKB, I
Yeah,
mean, it's pretty much the toughest sport in the world. So I'm sort of curious with people if it's something they're born with, or if it's something they cultivate to have that warrior mentality, killer instincts. You get where I'm
yeah.
coming from.
I also do, yeah. So I was always fighting as a child, as a young man, and as a child, I was always fighting. If I wasn't getting battered by my mother, which I could take a beating from all day long, I could take. No one's ever given me a beating like my mother, so no one's ever been able to do it since. So I was always able to take a good kick in and keep moving on. So when I was in school, I used to leave the house in the comforts of my own home, which wasn't always comfortable. And whenever I got outside and seen someone else getting pushed around, or someone else getting bullied, or someone getting, fucking some sort of verbal abuse, I was always the person to step in the middle and try and mediate and sort out. And I was always getting bullied myself. Say I was getting bullied, there was always someone there wanting to push and pull at me as well. So it become just a normal everyday thing where I just felt that each day I was going to be stepping into a fight, and that kind of becomes the norm. And if you're walking towards a ring, you get two things: you get that nervous feeling that the unknown and the unknown is the worst feeling in the world, because you never know what's going to happen and how it's going to happen, and everyone's worst feeling is going to get knocked out and be embarrassed. But I was never bothered about being beaten. It wasn't the beating that was the worry to me. It was more the fact that if I didn't stand up for myself, I'd always be looked upon as being a coward. I'm not a coward. I've never been a coward. But to walk away from a fight now shows me that you're not also a coward if you walk away. But I could never just stand there and watch someone get pushed around. And I could obviously never stand there and let myself get pushed around. So I was always willing to stand and fight. And if you're walking towards a ring, like I just said then, that feeling of nervousness, it goes if you've been in that situation 24/7, you become desensitized to the nerves and the fear of the loss, or of how you're going to lose if you're going to lose. So I just go into the ring and just want to enjoy myself. I think the army though did help, because when you fly into these countries, when you're on these Pumas, or in back of a Pentac, or on a 4-ton, or wherever it is you're going, and whatever it is vehicle you're on, that's a bit like you're walking to the ring, and therefore just on a different setting. And if you're used to doing that, be it with a radio in your hand and a weapon, or if it be just a couple of wraps on your hands, it's still the same. You're still going towards a possible bad outcome. And as soon as you start to accept that no future is ever written, and it doesn't matter what you think in your head, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, then the being overcome your fears. So I don't really have that fear state in my mind where normally when I was stood at the start line of the walk into the fight, I would just be more happy than anything, because I'd done everything that I was going to do to get there. So there's no amount of my worrying or stress or woes are going to change the outcome, because anything I've already done has already led me to that moment. So it was never an issue. I'm more excited to get in there really and enjoy myself, as you've seen on the videos. Always smiling, always enjoying it, always. Even when I've been knocked down, I get back up and have a bit of a joke, because I think, well, whatever, it is what it is. And if I got beat, well, who's to criticise but those that have paid to watch me anyway? You paid to watch me, and therefore you're a bit of a Judas to come and watch me and then slag me down for giving that entertainment you've asked for. So slag me down and enjoy yourself, but I'm gonna keep fighting regardless.
Brilliant. That is a really powerful lesson on a lot of levels. I mean, first of all, that's one for young fighters. So any young fighters watching this, any fighters really, listen up. But it's a great lesson for life anyway, because I like just general life, because I believe that, we live in an age of, fear and anxiety. and it's sort of very much something that's, I think, propagated and really sort of put across and rammed down people's throats to be afraid. And it's just sort of everywhere you turn. So, in this, and you read these reports of, anxiety and certain mental health going, through the roof more than 20 years ago or 30 years ago, whatever. And, there's got to be causes for these things. So having a little tip there, of a way of, people handling that in a more efficient manner, whether you're fighting or whether you're doing something else in life, it's really powerful. And that's what I said, when this interview will go beyond just the fighting side of it. Also, just for our fans' reference, Smudger is very humble because I believe you served in quite a few countries. I mean, you've got Bosnia, Northern Ireland, Germany, Iraq. I'm missing one.
Kosovo.
Yeah,
Kosovo.
yeah. So you were all around the world. So an absolutely incredible career in that side of things as well, to give that a mention. But let's get into the actual fights themselves, because I mean, bare knuckle boxing, bone against bone, the toughest sport in the world, I think. Let's get into that itself. I mean, you've consistently challenged the best, and you pretty much explained your mentality for that. But I want to touch upon in the very beginning what actually attracted you to bare knuckle fighting instead of, say, MMA or glove boxing or some other style that's out there, because I know it's the fastest growing combat sport in the world, but it's a tough challenge. So was it the challenge that attracted you, or was it something else? Let's talk a little bit about that.
I think it was just because it was newly modernized. It was fresh. It was something different. I my pro gloved license, and I was told that quite point blank that I most likely wouldn't get it, but most probably wouldn't get it. Nearly 100% wouldn't get it because of that. I was on a criminal license from jail, and I was a bit pissed off because I was trying to put a move in a positive direction to start a career, and yet I was being told I can't, and therefore I have to continue struggling, and obviously put on the criminal side of things just to keep myself above water. I think with the BKB was that I've got that fight in me. I've got that Irish blood, and I've got that fight in me, and therefore I knew that it was right on my street, right on my alley. That I don't really get nerves for any fight, and therefore to be pulled upon to a ring to fight bone on bone, bare knuckle, I was more than happy to do that. I'd just been getting on with a few straighteners in my local area, and because I was freshly fighting again, I'd had a 3-4 year lay down, bit of an hiatus. More, I'd retired, but it turned out it was just a break. So I got back into it, got myself back to a fitter status physically, and it was all just kind of a whirlwind, bit more of a roller coaster. One day I wasn't doing it, next minute I was signed up, and then a couple months later I'm in the ring fighting, and I felt at home. To be fair, when I got in the ring, I really did feel at home. I felt like I'd found my place to be. But it wasn't to last forever, and I knew it was never going to last forever. I actually intended on retiring at 40, but I retired a bit earlier than that. However, what I've achieved, I'm happy with. Even with the losses and the wins, I've learned from every one of them. So, I've progressed, and we evolve daily. We don't even realize how much we evolve daily. We just expect that because we're in the same skin and we've not got any taller or any wider, that we're the same person, but we don't. We evolve daily, and I think the BKB helps me evolve massively within not just my physical appearance, but my mental ability and my whole outlook on life. Really, my BKB helped me a lot with that because I was meeting a lot of new people from a lot of different areas. I was learning to converse with different types of people and work a room. So that helps me with my confidence. My confidence was pretty good anyway, but it made my confidence go through the roof. Never arrogance, just always willing to talk to people and understand them and try and let them understand me. And that was it basically. The reason I got into BKB because it was fresh, it was niche, it was different, and I was able to be part of something that was growing and be someone that was part of the growth of the sport. So yeah, I'm happy with what I've achieved, and I've retired happy.
Incredible. Yeah, it's a brilliant insight, and I know I said that before about other things, but it's a really good insight into your own motivations, because those are the things the fans don't see. I mean, they see the fights, but they don't always see what's going through people's minds and, other aspects. So I like to give that a mention. And yeah, I mean, I think you've cemented your place in history, with the sport of BKB, and, just
Thank you.
going down in history as a legend. And I'm not just saying that because, when people talk about, about BKB, there's only so many names that come up. And obviously you're one of them, you fought quite a few of the other ones. So, definitely part of history. But talking about specific fights, because I know that obviously the fans will want to hear about that, and, they love it.
Something else before we crack on with that, I just want to say also, did get into BKB because I was a bit low down and depressed at the time because my life wasn't going in the right direction. It wasn't going where I wanted to go. And I seen this as an opportunity to better myself and to inspire others. So it wasn't just because of it was an hard sport and it was niche. It come at the right time. It come in sync to when I needed it. So BKB was on my path when I was at my lowest in 2018, and therefore it helped me, but it helps a lot of other people around me to understand mental health issues. And to show that if you keep yourself in a physically good shape, then mentally you feel better as well. Whereas if you let your body go, your mind starts to go with it because, well, your body just feeds your mind and your mind feeds your body, and therefore they both need each other. As soon as you start letting yourself go, like I got quite fat. Well, I got quite big. I thought, well, mostly about all quite fat, and it didn't do me any favors at all. Self-image is a lot for a lot of people. So yeah, that's another reason I got into it because it was on my path at the right time, and I was down, and I needed that shift in my life.
Yeah.
So
That's really good as well. Yeah, I mean, I've said for a long time, and I continue to say that, the impact that sports can have on mental health is profound. It's absolutely profound. And what you just highlighted there, the connection between the mind and the body, and also vice versa, is something so many people don't understand, but it's essential. I mean, your mind's got to be right, your body's got to be right, they've got to work together. So many people try, the mind over matter thing, but then you've got to have your body right as well. If your body's not in shape, it's going to pull your mind down with it and just drag it. So it's a very important balance. And yeah, I've seen sports, whether it's fight sports primarily, but whether it's other sports, turn so many lives around. I've seen it rescue people from mental health and alcohol and drugs and bad habits, and just so much. Even if it's just confidence, and just I've seen people transform from like shy, anxious, quiet people into confident people who can go and get their dreams in other areas of their lives, outside of fight. And it's a powerful thing. I mean, you can't put a price on that.
yeah,
So it's a really good thing to give a mention to, as well. So nice one on
there's,
that, mate.
there's a guy
Yeah,
called Kane Baker from James Kennelly's gym who used to be a short, podgy kid, and I
yeah,
don't know if you know who Baker is, but he's really made some big waves in the glove boxing industry at the moment. And he even said himself, to go from that to that, and sports done a massive favour to him. He's done a lot. He's done a lot of good for the sport, but the sport's done a hell of a lot for him. For him to go from what he was to what he is now is amazing. So the proof's in the pudding with people like him.
yeah. Absolutely, 100%, 110%. And yeah, I've heard of him as well. He's doing great things, but there's so many people that the sport has helped. Now, talking about the sport itself, I mean, you fought the best, through your career. I mean, obviously we got obviously Johnny Lawson, obviously with your debut, Chris Chassis, obviously with the British title, James Connolly, Sean George, Tony Lafferty. I mean, there's so many guys. There's that crazy Kazakh, or I've never pronounced his name right as well. But there's all these, obviously Jeff Chivens as well. Can't leave him. But there's all these guys that you fought the best of the best. So rather than honing in on really specific fights, what I'm going to do with this is look at it from a different point of view. Because in your own estimation, what would you say is the proudest moment of your career, in terms of maybe it was challenging for the British title, maybe it was another particular win, maybe it's not one moment. But I love asking this because I've asked a lot of world champions and top people this, and it's usually not what you expect. It's not what the fans expect. So in your own words, champ, what are you most proud of from your career? When you look back on it now, maybe one moment, maybe it's more. I don't know, but
I would say there's 3 times I've been the proudest. My 3 losses. This sounds this, but my losses, because I was able to take the losses like a man and move on. being able to take a loss. I always say to people, judge me by the losses, not by the wins, because the losses teach you more than the wins do. The wins just teach you that you was better on the night than the other person. Ultimately, that you've done most work, you've got that work done, and you've won. But the losses teach you that you got to bounce back. That we're not made of glass. That a loss isn't the end. That we need to fail to learn. That we wasn't good enough on that night, and therefore do better next time. Maybe push that extra mile on your run. Maybe do your diet better. Maybe get extra session in. Maybe don't do as many. Maybe rest up a bit more. But there's all these different things that we need to learn from, and I learned how to accept a loss, be humble, and still be friends with the person that I've lost to. Which in a lot of sports is hard because people sometimes can't accept that someone's better than them on the day. I'm not saying that they're better than them always, because we'll look at Jimmy Sweeney and Ricardo Franco, or look at James Kennelly. What a fighter he is, and he's lost to some people that I thought he'd win to. And look at him, he's learned from his losses as well. He's learned that, we don't always win, because people that get in the ring and expect to win every time are going to lose every time, because one day when they do lose, it's going to be the most destructive thing in their life ever. So for me, taking a loss and enjoying the time I had in there and the memory that I got from it.
Yeah, amazing. Okay. And another one that comes up, obviously, that fans always love to hear about, which I think would be good to give a mention to here, is obviously toughest fights. Now, with BKB, I think, most fights are tough, and obviously everyone who gets in there definitely deserves that respect, whatever happens, because it is a tough sport. So I'm not really, disrespecting any other person for focusing on one. But still, when you talk about this, that usually fighters have one or two or something, that really stands out, where they really have to dig deep and they really thought, I'm in for it, like tonight, whatever. So with yourself, I mean, who stands out like that as being like the toughest fight you had, or maybe there's more than one, but let's talk about that a bit.
I'll blow your mind. I had this fight with Sean George, and it wasn't because of Sean George. Well, it was because of Sean George, but it wasn't just because of Sean George. It's because of the time, the circumstance, situation I was in, my mindset, my physical ability at the time. So when I fought Sean George, I was given a 4-week notice. They basically just said to me, "Do you want to fight for a British title?" And I went, "Yeah, obviously." Then they said Sean George, and my eyes lit up. It wasn't even about the title; it was about fighting Sean George, because I wanted to fight Sean George from the start. I actually cornered Liam Cullen for the world title against him when he got knocked out, and I would look up in the ring. I could fight him easily. And I wasn't even fit at the time. I was literally just a podgy fucker. I was just getting back into. I literally just got back from the beef with the lads and just been signed up, and they offered me to go down to BKB. And then when I got down there, Liam Cullen said to me, I need someone to corner me. You're on your way down? I said, yeah. You were cornering me? I said, yeah. So my first show I got to corner for the final fight. Buzzing. So that obviously gave me motivation to want to get in there and fight who my pal had just lost to. So when they offered me Sean George, which I've been asking for a while, they'd offered me when I didn't really need the offer. I really didn't want the offer, but they offered me anyway, and I had to say yeah. And I had spinal stenosis, 2 bulging discs. I was suffering, struggling to walk, struggling to sleep. I've been going through some wars with some local lads that I was looking to set up to kill. Actually, I was in a really fucked up place. My cars had been getting smashed. I was helping people with food banks. I was depressed, down, not hardly any money in the bank. Loads of stuff was just going on, and I had to go off this injection in my back 3 weeks before the fight, and then I had to wait for that to settle by about 24 hours in the gym by then. Still struggling. And the fight night, me and Scott were fighting, me and Scott McHugh. So I was down there with Scott McHugh. I was down there with a couple of the fight on Reese Murray as well, because I got him into the BKB, managed to get him signed up. So me, Scott, and Reese Murray, all down there with our teams, all from the same area, all with the same people. So we're all there together in this big room. And whilst I was hitting the pads, every time I went to go hit the pads, I was missing. I mean, literally, I was missing the pads. I couldn't hit combinations. I would hit like 2-3 shots coming back from a lean back and come back from, and just missing shots. And my coach said to me, Smudge, are you all right? And I went, not really, no, mate. The full camp's been shit. Not really been a camp. I was just, I mean, I'm laughing at it now because looking back, I was in such a bad state. And he just said to me, Smudge, don't worry, man. When you get in there, every time that bell rings, you always turn it on. And I did, and I have. You know, I've been in fights with disease when I couldn't walk days before. I was in a fight with Tony Laffit, and I couldn't even walk to the toilet the morning after. You know, I've been in some really, really bad circumstances, situations for each fight. Even the Johnny Lawson fight, I'd stabbed myself in the arse in Cuba just to get rid of the abscess I had. Couldn't even walk properly. So, you know, I was always having medical issues during all my camps, but this was the worst. So he said that to me, and when he said this Smudge, when the bell goes, you always turn it on. I just thought, wow, like a rush of confidence over me. Like the way in which he said it to me, my coach, Porrick McDonough, it just pushed confidence in me straight away. Like when I got down to the ring, I knew I was going to be okay. But like days leading up to it, I would be my my usual bubbly self, but I was smiling on the outside, but not on the inside. And then the bell went, and I turned it on. I probably didn't turn it on as much as I wanted to, but I turned it on a lot more than I thought I was gonna. And we had the fight, you know, and everyone saw the fight. And at the end, I really felt I'd done just enough. I mean, and he thought I'd done just enough as well, did Sean? And obviously the judges didn't, so I lost the fight. And that to me was a big fucking learning lesson, because I learned that whatever's been put in my path, I always ready for it. You know, that sometimes I got to be patient, or you know, be more confident in my decision, and make the right decision instead of just fucking jumping at it. You know, but I'm normally the one. It's what the world head on. I don't really take a step back. And like the fight with his eyes, when I spoke to Jimmy Sweeney, he said, "Don't take the fight, Sponge. If you can't walk now, don't take the fight in 7 days' time." I'm going, fuck it, I'm taking it anyway, and I did it. You know, it was a good fight. The Tony Laffit fight shouldn't have fought. The Jeff Shiffins fight shouldn't have fought. You know, the Johnny Lawson fight should have had an operation beforehand. All these fights had these issues with, and all I could think is, I've at least done it my way. No one's ever swayed me to do something different. I've always done it how I wanted to do it. But I won fight, actually, the Conor Tierney fight that I was offered instead of the Hubert Gavin. And my coach took the decision for me because I was really wanting a good place to hold my back, and I couldn't even spar. But I was willing to take the fight. Anyway, so that's the hardest fight for me. And to lose, knowing that there's a good chance I'd won, that was a really, really bitter pill to swallow. But I rang him up a couple of weeks later and just said to Sean, I went, you know what? I lost, and you know, you won, and that's how it is. And thanks for the memory. And he was like, I think he was shocked that I rang him, but I just let him know that I didn't hate him. He did his job, I did my job. The judges did their job, whatever job theirs was, and the rest did his job. So therefore, you know, I got in there and entertained, and I enjoyed it regardless of the result. So that was the hardest fight, mate.
Incredible! What a story. I mean, there's so much the fans don't see. And personally, obviously, because I've followed your career, I mean, I've heard all these things. Well, not all of them actually, but a number of these things about, you know, the issues you've had and health problems and some of the weight differences and all this sort of stuff. But you know, highlighting it like that and explaining it to people is it's incredible, and it makes, you know, what you've achieved more amazing again. I think, even though it's an amazing achievement. So amazing. Another one that comes up though, it seems we're talking about toughest fights, and it'll be the last couple of things now as well. But it's, you know, heaviest hitters or hardest hitters, or you know, whatever you want to call it, because you know, people always ask, and this one always pops up in trivia questions. I do a lot with the glove boxing as well, and this always comes up. But you know, in terms of the you know, the hardest punches that you faced and stuff, it's the one the fans always love to hear. Is there one name that you know that comes to mind more than one, or I don't know, you know?
Chizai's, man. Chizai's the only one that's hit me hard enough to, yeah, you've seen the video. He gave me the biggest right I've ever took and got back up and laughed. That is no disrespect to him. I just got an head like a breeze block. I just took the shot and I felt it, but I didn't feel it. Like, I knew it was the hardest shot I've ever taken, but I just don't think my body and my head really, I don't know, I don't really think that I don't how can I put it? I don't think it registered. The shot didn't register. They hit me, and all my body and my brain wanted to do was just stand back up and keep fighting because, well, that's what I'm there to do, to fight. And I'm like a dog with a bone. Once I got my teeth sunk in, I'm not stopping. The judges have to literally wave me off to stop me, and that's what he had to do. And credit to Chris Trezise, he's a big unit. He's got long arms, long reach, and he does it hard. I just feel I was the better boxer in the night. It was just his reach advantage that was getting. But that's how the fight game goes, and he got the best of me on that night, just like Sean did. There's no excuses. The win was the win. They got the wins they got. But I accept that on the night. The loss was mine. The win was theirs. I was just happy to be in there because to fight for the British title against Trezise, who's not lost in quite a few years now, is a good memory to have. The videos, the banter we had, the respect we had as well, because there was no disrespect in that fight. I even rang him before the fight, and he rang me, and we spoke about about injuries, and we give each other that respect of knowing that we're going in there ready. Regardless of what issues we had in our camps, we're going to get there and do the fight. So, the Trezise fight, he's hit me the hardest. And I think other than that, the only other person that's hit me as hard as that is a guy called Sean White, who was one of my coaches, actually. Not one of my coaches, one of my cornermen. But that was with gloves on, so he's got some hit on him. He's got some punch on him. But gloves are dangerous, you see. Gloves are very dangerous for you. More dangerous than bare knuckle.
Yeah, that's a debate, isn't it? That always rages on, isn't it? That with obviously with the gloves, you can take more hits to the head, and everything's longer, and and it's true. I mean, it's one of those things that just scientifically, obviously, with the bare knuckle hitting on the head, and you've got to be careful you don't hit the wrong way and all this, and it's safer, but it's a debate that rages on. So it's good to get your thoughts on that as well, because so many champions in the BKB I've asked about that, and it's and don't get me wrong, glove boxing I love. But I do loads with it, but definitely from the health point of view, it's something that comes up. So obviously we've talked about the present day, we've talked about the past, we've looked at some brilliant fights, and quite a bit of stuff here, and how you've risen up to achieve amazing things at BKB, fight in front of these massive crowds and all the rest of it. Obviously, looking to the future is another thing that we need to touch on sort of before wrapping this up, because I think that looking at the future is something people will want to know about in terms of what you're aiming for next. And I know you do quite a bit with helping others, and there's been all these things about PTSD awareness and about some charitable things you've done that, and I've seen all this different stuff. Never mind like just helping people in the community and everything. But so maybe that'll come into it. But yeah, just in your own words, basically, champ. I just would love to hear about what's sort of inspiring you now. What what your dream is from here, and what's next for Smudger Smith, basically.
Well, I'm currently coaching a few lads that I've got my eye on. A lad called Devin Myers, who's shining very bright in the gym at the moment. He's got a lot of power. He's got some very, very sharp, fast hands, and he's got the passion to keep going as well, with motivation. So I've got him at the moment. I've got a few other people that come along that are on board now. And whilst I'm doing that, I'm setting up a clothing brand called High Vibes Movement, where people can wear the clothing and they can be identified from a distance with vibrant clothing on. So that if anyone needs any sort of mental health talk, if they're feeling a bit down, a bit low, or they're on that different vibe, maybe they even to do with people that are suffering through this tyrannical wave of bullshit that's going on right now. If they need someone to talk to about it, and they can see these people from afar, a bit like wearing a band, really. So you're wearing a band, there to prove, to show that you're in support of a certain movement, be it Help for Heroes or homeless people on streets, stuff like that. It's more of a visual aid, really. Instead of looking for someone's wrist, you can see someone's clothing and see that they're on the same vibe. So once I get that going, that's going to be a good little thing for people locally that were struggling, that are looking for help but don't know where to find it. Because let's be right, a lot of people don't like just going to these organisations. They feel quite embarrassed. But if you just stood at a bus stop, or you're in town walking through town, you see someone's being a bit low, or you are a bit low and you see somebody with his tops on, you're able to approach them. without judgment as well. So I mean, I'm only going to be wanting to sell them to people that are on. I mean, once again, it's going to be hard, but you know, we've got to look for new avenues, new ways to help people without them feeling embarrassed, ashamed, feeling like they're not good enough to be able to speak to others about their problems. And so that's what we're doing. We're going to be doing that now. We're going to be getting this clothing brand on the move, so people can be on the move, so people can be standing up again and walking around with heads held high and proud.
Right.
Other than that, mate, just promoting like Rick Simpson oil and different ways to cleanse your body, to get rid of toxins, to drink better water, to eat better foods, more organic, just better a better lifestyle in general. Really, just helping people see how they can change their lives without it being too drastic. You know, just the little things that change.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm very big on that myself with natural health, you know, and natural ways of doing things and taking the body back to its sort of natural state that it should be at, that, you know, before we had all these toxins and all this other stuff in more ways than one, food obviously, but also all the digital media and all, you know, the toxins in lots of different ways. But it's, you know, it's a powerful message as well. Well, you know, champ, I mean, one thing I would say is obviously interviews, it's like obviously I do a lot of them, and you get into interviews, and you know, some of them are good, and some of them are great, and all this, but some of them just exceed like the expectations. So like you know it's going to be good, but it just goes past that point. It's just brilliant, and this has definitely been one of those, you know, because some of what we've talked about here, like the deeper side of things, as well as the fighting and all that side of things as well. It's really good. I think it's really powerful for people. I think it really helped a lot of people, which is obviously my aim. Is obviously entertainment, sure it is, but also, you know, inspiration and the deeper side of things. So I love that. So the last thing really to sort of ask you is obviously for your fans watching this, for those people who support you, not just with the fighting now, but with any of your other ventures, you know, in the community or just in general. I mean, you know, who supports you
Yeah.
genuinely. What would you say to them in terms if any of them are watching this, or any of the people that have been, you know, by your side and all that? I just want to give them a quick mention, quick shout out, you know?
I would say thank you to everyone so far that's been supporting me, and also pass a smile on. It's not the hardest thing to do. It's a positive emotion to, you know, to pass that positivity on. People at the moment are too afraid of going out their own door to speak to other people, to get near other people, just because of, you know, this fear state that's been pushed upon us. So me personally, I would say go out and live your life and stop being so fearful, because if you don't live your life and risk your life, then you never. If you don't risk your life, you're not living your life. If you're not living your life, you're not living your life. You know, you need to go out there and enjoy yourself, because if not, you're going to be a prisoner in your own home. If you're going to sit home all day and watch this TV that's just going to send images to you to put a fear state, to get you emotionally scared of what might be coming, and bear in mind, our future's never promised to us. We can't guarantee that whatever we want to plan for tomorrow is going to happen, and therefore, why plan anything at all? Live for it, live for each day, and stop being so worried about what might happen. That's my message to people. Start changing the way you look at life, because if you don't, life's going to bite you in the ass, and it's going to be you that's creating your own reality.
Yeah, powerful. I mean, there's so many things, there's so many tips in here that you've shared with people, what you said earlier at the beginning about who you associate with, and that's a powerful thing, creating your own reality. I mean, that's a big one. So many people don't realize that, you know, our mindset sort of influences, well, it doesn't just influence, I mean, it does create, but I mean, you know, the filters through which we see the world oh man, the create your own reality thing. I'd be here all day if we got into that, but suffice to say, it's a powerful message for people
And
to, they
we
don't realize. And
can another interview if you want. We'll talk about some deep shit if you want, deeper than this.
yeah, we
Because
can do that. We can
yeah,
do that.
the TV is there to play games with your mind, you know, and the more you watch TV, the more your mind gets games played with it. And, you know, you're on about the creating your own realities. We literally do manifest what we want in our lives, and we do it subconsciously, and we do it as a whole, as a group. And the more people that watch TV, the more they're going to bring that reality to us. So smash that fucking TV up and get it out, because you don't need it. It's not good for anyone.
Yeah, yeah, the programming. I mean, people, you know, people don't realize that what you put obviously in your. I mean, a lot of people are aware to some degree of what you put in their body, has an impact, whether they care or not, but most people are aware of it. But like so many people don't know that what you put into your mind and your emotions and all that sort of stuff has an impact, for years to come. And what you program yourself with, what you say to yourself, what you watch, what you listen to, even when you just walk around and you're in your own space. And obviously, a lot of people have conversations in their own head about, what do I do with this and all these things. If you're walking around, you're saying to yourself, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm this or I'm that, and you're actually making it come true. And that's one that I've had to work on, not that specifically, but the inner monologue is one I've had to work on a lot myself, and the effects of it are just, they're beyond measure. I mean, the way you can turn your life around with that sort of thing is just on another level, really. And it's a lot of it myself has come from meeting people and learning from life, but a lot of it's come from studying, because there's people who write about all this stuff as well, and you can find them, take some digging, because I don't think they want you to find them in the mainstream, but they are out there, and that's why even I just show this because I'll go in a minute, but even like in where I am, there's tons of stuff, all like and I just try and consistently learn and sort of change my mindset, and um, love it. I absolutely love it. And I love that we've got to share that with people, with a wide group of people with this. That's made my day.
You are what you think you are what you see, you are what you speak, you are the things that you think you are, and therefore if someone tells you are that something too many times, you'll become that thing. So tell yourself what you are and give yourself self-affirmation, you know what I mean? Even look at the songs that Sia writes, SIA Sia, she writes self-affirmation songs, and they're very powerful songs, but then you get other songs that are out there, or TV programs that get you self-affirming that you're something different to that, you're actually something bad. So if you tell yourself that you're a dickhead and everyone else around you tells yourself you're a dickhead, you become a dickhead. So don't be a dickhead. Tell yourself you're a better man than that.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. It literally does work, thoughts are vibrational frequency, just like your voices, just like light is vibrational frequency. So anything you see, you hear, and you're speaking, that's what you are, that's what you become. And that's how deep this goes, but people don't get that because it's too far-fetched for the mind to believe because of all the shit they've seen on TV. So now it's got to happen on TV. If it doesn't happen on TV, then it's not happening in your real life. As I say, if it hadn't happened on Facebook, did it even happen? That's how bad it's. People don't believe it unless they've seen it on Facebook. That's how bad this world's got. It's quite funny, really.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah. Well, champ, it's been a pleasure, mate. Honestly, it's been more than a pleasure. It's been an absolute joy, to be fair.
Thank you.
With you. So. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.